Alright, quick update on Bitcoin against the US dollar. Let's check out what's going on in the short term and then we'll hop into this long term chart in just 1 second. And we'll talk about some important signals that we're seeing over here. To start off with, I did try and record this video earlier. However, my PC right now is basically on its deathbed. I've ordered a new PC, so I should be able to pump out more content, but my PC right now is literally on its last leg, so I'm waiting for my new system to come. Until then, you know, I recorded this earlier, but the FPS was so low. It was literally like 1 frame every 2 or 3 seconds, and I just can't upload content that's extremely laggy. So it looks like it's improved itself now, so let's jump right into the content. Hopefully this is all calm until my new system comes. So let's jump right into the Bitcoin price. As you can see, earlier on, about 12 hours ago, we did have a brutal rejection from the top of this, and we've actually added a couple of new lines. Previously we were just looking at this as a bear flag, but also if you do want to connect the wicks, the initial wicks here, you can see we were also in some type of asymmetrical triangle pattern, and you know, extrapolating the price target of this triangle, we would potentially have a breakdown coming to 25,600, and I personally don't really have any price targets around that range on this chart. I'm actually personally targeting 22,000 in the macro term. We'll talk about that in a second. But you know, nothing has really changed for the past couple of days. You know, you put this on the daily time frame, and we're still lollygagging within this this big bear flag to the downside right now. So not an awful lot's changed. You can see once again we are crashing our heads against these moving averages, these EMA ribbons. Every time we come against them, we do normally move down. And the fact that we are kind of getting constricted against these right now, you know, you can see the bands are tightening. I do think a big move is going to be coming probably sooner rather than later. I think there's only so long we can kind of just chill and trend sideways while we are in this bear flag before we probably do have that next move to the downside, which is what I'm personally counting on. A few other charts to take note of before we do move over to the Bitcoin chart in the macro term is that the dollar is still very strong and it's still holding its EMA ribbons. Now I'm seeing a lot of people kind of switching up and saying, you know, they think the dollar is breaking bearish. I still really need to see the dollar have a very strong move below 102.3. Until that happens, as far as I'm concerned, we're really just trading within this triple top range. So, you know, the dollar is a slow mover. I think, you know, we're so used to looking at the crypto charts, we expect this to be like boom, boom, boom. But the dollar likes to take its time. I would not be surprised if we chopped around. I mean, you could chop around for months and months and months before we decide to do a breakout. But at least typically when you have these blow off tops, they're normally quite short, and you can tell when you're in a blow off top because normally after you've seen a blow off top you capitulate down pretty hard. And the fact that the dollar is not capitulating hard at this moment in time, it's really just kind of sitting here chilling out, finding support in the daily EMAs. 4 hourly, it's a slightly different perspective. We are starting a very micro downtrend in the short term, but you know, like I said, this is the short term. If you want to come over to the daily, you can still see the lows that we're putting in right now are still higher lows from this kind of macro trend here. So we should be, you know, we're kind of trending within this interesting pattern within these trend lines. You could see within the next 4 days or so, we're probably going to have more of a dramatic move to the downside back to 102.3, or we're probably going to have a push back up to the top here. So that's something I will be keeping my eyes on. While the dollar is having a kind of nice bounce on the daily today, you can see this hasn't done too well for the stock market. Coinbase is down almost 2%, Tesla down 6 or 7% today, Google down 1.5%, Nasdaq down 0.5%, SPY and SPX are kind of just floating, but they're actually down from their opening very, very slightly. So with all that being said, I think maybe we should look at total just for a second, see what's going on some of the higher time frames. The total crypto market cap is coming right back to your 618 Fibonacci. So this is kind of really where we would want to have a big reversal. if we do capitulate below this level, which I'm personally thinking we are, because I'm personally thinking lower price targets have to come for Bitcoin, and obviously how a lower price target's going to come if money doesn't exit the market cap. So I don't necessarily think we'll break all the way down to 737 billion. I feel like the market cycles are going to be slightly different coming over in this period in time, but I am going to talk about, you know, why we haven't necessarily seen any signs of a bottom at this moment in time. Total 2, so this is purely checking out what's going on with the altcoins. You can see this shows that the altcoins are having weakness against Bitcoin, because total market cap's holding 618. This is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. So this is simply just the altcoin market cap, and you can see the altcoin market cap isn't doing as well. This is what we've been talking about. We've been saying for some period of time now that Bitcoin is going to outperform the altcoins, and while we necessarily haven't done that today, you know, we are down just beneath 1%. What's interesting is you come over to the weekly time frame, we've just had a weekly breakout out of this this downtrend that we are currently in at this moment. We are in this big channel pattern right now. The last time we saw a channel pattern like this, or, you know, we were in a bear flag, this, you can also call this a bear flag. The last time we were in something like this was when we were coming into the 2018 bear market, and because of this, you know, we Bitcoin dominance got slaughtered coming into the bull market. What happened after then is this bear market phase, Bitcoin dominance started skyrocketing because people started selling altcoins for Bitcoin, and that's what I think is going to be playing out. I've been very adamant, I've been very vocal about this for the past couple of weeks now, and we are kind of starting to see it pop into fruition. So it'll be interesting to see if this does play out. I would really want this to play out, because as I've been saying, my money is where my mouth is. I've repositioned all of my altcoin bags in Bitcoin at this moment in time, simply because I've, you know, like I've been saying, I have lived through this 2018 phase, and it was not nice if you were holding altcoins, that was for sure. Unless you were holding Chainlink around the bottom when it started really outperforming, then, you know, I can't necessarily think of any other market outliers during that cycle back there, and I'm not actually seeing any market outliers at all in this cycle as of this moment in time, at least any decent ones. But, you know, looking at this on the daily, you can still see we're miles above your EMAs. We have broken out of this box. On the daily, we are not even back testing it yet, so I wouldn't count the Bitcoin dominance out at this moment in time. It seems very bullish to me. Bitcoin against all the altcoins as well. A lot of these BTC or a lot of these altcoin BTC pairs are getting brutally hammered on the day, and you know, a lot of them have been getting hammered, well, all of them have been getting hammered over the past couple of weeks or so. So let's wrap up the video. I noticed something very important that I did want to talk about, and that is the massive bear market in the RSI that we are seeing right now. And what I first wanted to talk about is the bear market we've seen in the RSI previously, and we didn't really have something as black and white as kind of topping out on the RSI and coming down, coming up, you know, having a very easy to see kind of trend line like here. Like you can see, we've got 3 touch points on this trend line. This one, it's only got 2 touch points, 3 touch points if you want to consider this kind of little micro rejection a breakdown or a touch point from this. So you know, 2 or 3 depending on how you look at this. But what you notice is if you simply waited on the weekly time frame for this breakout on the RSI, you would have literally bought on, let's say you broke out, you would have waited till, I'd say this wick here is when you started pushing up after you got above it. So this week here, what was the price? For 3,300 on the 28th of Jan. Let's zoom in for a second. So what did you miss off the bottom from the close? If you simply waited for the RSI to break out, you would have bought within 9.36% of the bottom. And this is why I think I'm very adamant about this. A lot of people kind of hype up DCAing, and I think DCAing into Bitcoin is a good idea, especially if you are new to the markets, I personally do have a few strategies where I do DCA, but I feel like I pay a lot more attention to how I DCA, not necessarily with a set DCA strategy. I've got two set DCA strategies. One involves logarithmic growth curves, the other involves how overbought or oversold the RSI / fear and greed / social metrics are. But I position at least about 50% of my portfolio in what I consider to be, trading and just kind of looking at the markets as a whole and looking at points of inflection where we have these trend reversals. And for me, I think when I'd really be looking to unload all of the fiat that I've got left that I've been keeping on the sidelines would be when BTC breaks out of this weekly RSI. Until that happens, I wouldn't be bullish on Bitcoin, and I definitely wouldn't be bullish on altcoins. But that being said, I'm not bullish at Bitcoin at this moment in time. I think it's going to move down to 22k. But if you've been watching my channel, I've been buying the dip all the way down. I've been saying I've got buy orders set at 29. I had some buy orders set at 28.5 today that got hit. I did talk about that in my video that I made this morning, but like I said, my computer was bugging out so hard. I clicked on the recorded footage and it was like I was going on the chart to like draw something like this, and I would draw something and then it would pause and I'd talk for like 10 seconds, and then by the time I came back it would have like a Fibonacci, it'd have like all these drawings on the chart, and I couldn't upload a video that was just poorly rendered. So like I said, my computer is on its last legs at this moment in time. I got a new badass computer coming very soon, hopefully in the next 10 days or so. It says estimated delivery is the 31st. I'm hoping it's going to come there. I've already got an email from Dell saying it's been built. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking for. Like I said, there's a lot of similarities with these two cycles, not only with the RSI but with this descending triangle, the blow off top. This one wasn't necessarily so much of a blow off top, but I think we are in the final capitulation. I do think the bottom is about a month away. Obviously I don't have an exact date for that, but I do think the bottom is very near. It is possible for us to bounce up and come up to 34, so don't throw yourself out of bed if we do have a bounce. It could definitely be possible. I'm personally thinking a scenario like this is going to play out, where we're going to come down to 22. We're probably immediately going to come up to like 40, 45, 50, and then I think we're going to capitulate all the way back down to maybe 28.5 or 29, and then break back up. Why do I think we're going to have such a big macro double bottom like this? Simply because what did we do in the 2018 bear market? We had the exact same pattern. We capitulated down, macro bottom, huge swing up to some previous levels of interest that we did get rivaled on in the 2017 to 2018 run up. We capitulated all the way down pretty much to where we previously were, but obviously still a tiny bit up from before, and then we ran back up. I mean, if we were going to line this up with the 300 week, because previously we bounced on the 200 week, we went up and then we came down to the 300 week. If this exact scenario was to play out again, you could see maybe something like this playing out. Like I said, 22,000, which is my target. Let's say 50,000, and then coming down something like this, 25, 26. This would line up with the 300 week and basically line up with exactly what we did in the last cycle. And what's interesting as well is obviously we didn't have data from the last 300 weeks back here, but if we did, maybe it would have looked something like this, and maybe we would have done something very similar where you test both of these important trend lines, moving averages rather, before you do head off to the races. Only this time it kind of seemed like we came down to the purple line and then we came up to the orange line. Obviously, like I said, the other cycles we came down to the orange line, then the purple. It looks like we're coming down to the orange line now. Once again, the orange line is the 200 week moving average, the green one is your 300. So that is all I've got for this video. A lot of interesting stuff going on. Dollar is still rising. Stock market is breaking down. Altcoins are getting slaughtered. Bitcoin dominance is heading up, which is really backing my theory that I think Bitcoin is going to massively outperform very soon. This Bitcoin chart, in my opinion, calls for a move down to 22,000. And also looking at the RSI, we're at very, very extremely low levels. The last time we were at these levels was literally just as we were about to capitulate to these levels down below. The only other time quite recently that we were at these levels was the exact bottom in March of 2020, which is why I'm saying I think we're going to go lower. I think 22k is on the table, but I really advise against thinking you know exactly where the bottom is. For example, I think I know that 22,000 is the bottom, but I know enough to know that what I think doesn't mean shit, and if Bitcoin does what Bitcoin wants, we're all just kind of looking at these charts looking for the best possible entry points within these trades, and Bitcoin could very well do something very different, which is why I've been saying, I've been very adamant, I'm DCAing at 29, I'm DCAing at 25, I'm DCAing at 22. I honestly don't think I'd leave myself with too much capital for too many more dips below the point of 22,000. I'll be full Bitcoin degen mode at that moment in time. Like I said, I have been picking up Bitcoin. I plan on picking up a lot of Bitcoin at 22,000, but I also am keeping some on the sides for when we do break out of this RSI. And until we do break out of the RSI, I'm not going into altcoins. So that's all I've got on Bitcoin. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, apologies, I did record this video much earlier. I did have a very free day. I was looking forward to recording a bunch of content, but unfortunately my computer was just absolutely letting me down, making a ton of noise, and every time I recorded a video, the frames per second were just absolutely poor. You could hear my voice very like fluidly, but the recording on the screen was just not working whatsoever. So that's all I've got for you today. Hope my PC sorts itself out by tomorrow so I can record all the altcoin content that I missed today. But like I said, I've got a new PC coming soon, so either way it should be all good within the next week or so. That's all I've got. Cowboy out, not financial advice, and as always, peace.